Good afternoon. Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. I'm adding another video on my YouTube channel. I've done 39 videos, so I decided, hey, how about number 40? I've done baseball videos, basketball, movies, top 50 movies, top 50 television programs. I've done world events, books I've read, songs I like. Done videos on my landscape business. I've done videos on favorite peoples. You can see I've done YouTube videos. Why am I doing it? Just for the fun of it, just a hobby. My top impressions of all time of things that have happened. Sports, religion, entertainment, history, geography. My last video was on the ranking of US presidents from worst to best. What's this video about? How about sports? Again, I've done baseball, basketball, but how about generally sports as an institution? Did you know that there are 800 different types of sports, that physical activity or recreational activities that can be listed as sports? 800. I didn't know that. I've narrowed a list of 50 different sports that are interesting. I haven't played them all. What do I mean by sports? As far as recreation, entertainment, institution, a career, a business, or whatever you want to call a sport. What do I mean? Like I said, there are about 800 different types. Some are unusual, some are ridiculous, some are great. Here are some sports that I'm not going to talk about, but just for example, what do I mean? You ever hear of air racing? That's flying model craft. You get either an airplane or a drone. They have a sport where you race them in the air. I'm not going to talk about that. Here's some other ones. Rugby, you ever hear of that? Some of the Latin American countries, they play rugby. Take a ball and they throw it to each other and they try to score across a goal line. I'm not going to talk about that. How about axe throwing? Throwing an axe, and there's skill involved in that. How about balance beam? It's a sport. You get on a beam and you balance yourself. How about ballooning, skydiving, barrel racing? How about getting on a log and twirling around? It's a sport. Jump roping, cricket, dancing, obviously, bullfighting, capturing flags, tagging each other, curling on ice, dog sledding, the Iditarod in Alaska, hot dog eating, fuzzball, hammer throwing, javelin, karate, judo, lacrosse, motorcycle jumping, sawing wood, lumberjacking, tumbling, wiffle ball, even drinking is a sport. I'm not going to talk about those. But I've got 50 that are interesting. Let's count down from 50 to number 1. I'm not going to say from worst to best, but I will say my number 1 sport is my favorite. Actually, the top 5 are my favorites. Maybe 10 are favorites. But how about we count down from number 50 of different sports just for the fun of it in this video, okay? Number 50, rock climbing. It's a sport. Use your hands, use your feet. You ascend rocks or mountains. And there's the agility and the strength of doing it, using their muscles, coordination. Not for me. 49 on the list. How about pole vaulting? Pole vaulting. You know what the world record for the pole vault is? 20 feet. I've never done it, and I don't want to try it. So for men, it's 20 feet is the record, and for women, 16 feet. Taking a long bar, you've seen it on TV, right? You hold it, and you want to cross over. You want to run, and you stick the bar into a slot, and you twirl yourself up and go over a crossbar bar and land on a mat. 20 feet is the record. Not for me. 48 on the list, long jump. You know what the record is in the Olympics? You know, you run as fast as you can, and then you jump in the air, and you extend your feet, and you land in a sandbox. And what's the record for men? 29 feet. Not bad. For women, 24 feet. These are sports. Let's continue in the countdown. Number 47. Interesting sports that I'm going to talk about. And I've seen on TV. And some of these sports I've done myself. But others, I don't want to try it. But I've seen it on TV. How about discus throwing? A discus. You hold it in your arm, probably in the Olympics, and you fling it. What's the record? For men, 235 feet. You throw a discus. For women, 227 feet. Interesting. Discus. 46 on the list. Cricket. What is cricket? You have 11 players on each side. You pitch a ball, and the other person on your team catches it in a wicket. And the idea is to run down the field and score into a net. Cricket. Not very interesting, huh? Okay. It's 46 on the list. 45. Bull riding. The goal in bull riding, you've seen it on TV. A ferocious, angry bull. And a guy gets on it and holds on the strap. And the idea is to hold on for 8 seconds before you get tossed off the bull. Interesting. I've seen it. Kind of crazy. You know what the record is for staying on one of those crazy bulls in a ring, in a rodeo? You know, you've seen it. Bull riding. 2 minutes and 4 seconds. A guy did it. Not bad. Bull riding. Well, that's 45 on the countdown, counting down. From interesting sports. When I get to the top 5, you'll see what I like and what I participated in. 44 on the list. Bobsledding. Usually in the Winter Olympics. Usually they go about 1,300 to 1,700 yards in a kind of like monorail contraption, and they go down a mountain and they swerve and they twist and they turn, and it's supposed to be a sport of agility and who can get the fastest down to the hill. Not for me. Bobsledding. 43 on the list. Water polo. You've seen this game, right? 6 players in the water and 1 goalkeeper. And you have kind of like a volleyball, soccer ball kind of ball. And you're swimming and you hold the ball and you throw it to your teammate and you try to score the ball into the net in water polo. Pretty enduring sport, right? You're swimming and holding the ball and swimming and trying to block the other guy. Not for me, water polo. 42 on the list, counting down. Race car driving. How about this? They compete, in race cars. You've seen it on TV. Some of these cars go 335 miles an hour. Crazy. I think the fastest I've ever gone is 90 miles an hour. No, I think I did 100 miles an hour in the desert. Lonely desert. Dangerous, right? Has the most wins in race car driving history as far as victories? Richard Petty. Who's another famous name? Mario Andretti. You've seen it on TV. Would you like to go to 200, even 300 miles an hour around a racetrack to win the prize? Not for me. 41 on the list, counting down. How about the run of the bull? I had the bull riding. But how about the run of the bull in Spain? You've seen it, right? The bull's let loose and guys are running away from the bull. And some of them get gorged. But it's a sport. Would you want a ferocious, angry bull chasing after you, and as a sport, you're running away from it? Crazy, unusual sport. But that's 41 on the list. Number 40, tetherball. You ever played it? Played it in elementary school. You have a pole, and a ball is on a rope, and you hit it. You hit the ball, and it goes around the circle. You're going clockwise, and the other guy is going counterclockwise. And what's the goal? Is to get that rope all the way around and score the win at the end. Tetherball. I did it for fun. I'll list some of the ones that I participated in. Tetherball is one, but I haven't done rock climbing, pole vaulting, long jumping, discus, bull riding, bobsledding, water polo, or race cars, or cricket. But I have done tetherball. Who's next on the list? Number 39, surfing is a sport. You have competitions. Sometimes the waves are 100 feet. Whew. The longest time a surfer has been on a wave, they say the record was this one guy rode a wave for 73 feet. Not bad. Usually the waves are 2 feet to 8 feet high, but some of these waves are 100 feet. And surfing has the competition as far as agility. You get on the surfboard and you ride the wave in. You've seen the crashes. You've seen the movies. Have I ever surfed? I paddled out on a surfboard, but I've never stood up on a surfboard and rode a wave. Have you? I've body surfed. That's a sport. John was a famous surfer. So was Kelly Slater. Surfing as a sport. How about that? 38 on the list. Skateboarding. I rode a skateboard as a kid. You perform tricks, you balance, you flip it. Tony Hawk, famous skateboarder. But as a competition, you've seen the big ramps they have, and it's like this, the ramp. And the skateboarder goes up and flips around, does a triple and lands. It's a sport. Whatever someone wants to do. 38 on the list. 37, counting down. Racquetball. Well, you have a small rubber ball, You have an indoor wall. You take a racket and you hit it against the wall, and you can go back and forth. You have competition, racquetball. Have I done that? I don't know if I've done racquetball. You've seen how hard they can hit it. Not for me, though. 36 on the list, counting down. Kickball. It's a sport. It's almost like a ball game where you have 3 bases and home plate. You kick a rubber ball. You don't use your hands. You don't use your head. You only use your feet. So the ball is rolled to you, or it can be bounced to you, and you give it a one big kick, and you can run around the bases and score runs. Interesting sport, right? Kickball. I played it in elementary school. How about that? But not the competition. Just kicking it back and forth. Have you done it? I have. 35 on the list. Canoeing is a sport. Usually you have 5 members in a canoe, and they have a paddle. So if you're racing against 5 other canoers, you have a competition. Which canoe can outlast and win a race across either an ocean or a lake? Canoeing. Interesting. Have I been in a canoe? Yeah. Have you paddled a canoe? I think I have. But not with 5 members in a race. But that's a sport. 34 on the list. Horseshoes. Have you ever done horseshoes? I have. Take the metal little horseshoe shape and you throw it 20 or 30 feet and it lands on a bar sticking up. If you get a ringer, well, when people are in competition, they have 4 horseshoes and they go back and forth, and whoever gets the most points. Interesting sport. They have competition and contest. How about that? 33 on the list. Fishing is a sport. You have your hook, you have your angling, and you compete. You get out there, and who can catch the heaviest fish? It's a competition. I've gone fishing. You used to call it half-day deep fishing in Paradise Cove, Malibu, California. I've done it with my grandfather and father. Caught a halibut. And you see fishers who are out on the piers and they wait all day and catch fish. But the competition as a sport is interesting. Do you know what the largest fish as far as weight ever caught? They say the world record is 2,664 pounds. Somebody caught. Ridiculous. Fishing as a sport, 33. 32 on the list. Dodgeball. I played dodgeball in elementary school. Take a rubber ball, shaped like a basketball, but it's almost like a soccer ball. Doesn't hurt as much as a basketball. Basketball's a little harder. We take the dodgeball, and you have players on your team, maybe 10 on one side, 10 on the other. Whoever has the ball, you throw it against the other team, and you hit him. When you hit him, he's eliminated. So you go back and forth, pick up the ball, you throw it, you get eliminated. Your goal is not to get hit. And the last man standing wins dodgeball as a competition. How about that? If you get hit up close, it can hurt. But it's not going to injure you because the ball is pretty soft. I played dodgeball in the 1960s as an elementary school. As a 32 on the list. 31, darts competition. 2 players, and their goal was to take a dart and throw it into a dart board. And you have numbers on the board. Bullseye obviously is 50 points. Red area would be 30 or 40 points, and then the brown area would be 10 to 20 points. And they have competition of darts as a sport. I've thrown darts. Try it. Have I ever gotten a bullseye? straight in the middle of the red square. Came close, that's about it, but as a sport, 30 on the list, counting down, shuffleboard. On cruise ships, take a pole, you have a little metal disc, and you push it across, and it lands on the other side with numbers. Well, they have sports where the puck, you roll it, you push it with a stick, and it lands in a zone 1, 2, or 3, and it's a competition sport. I've done shuffleboard, kind of fun, but not as competition sport though. But anyway, counting down interesting sports. This is my video. I'm telling you what I participated in, and as we count down, I'll tell you my favorite sports. 29 on the list, croquet. You ever play croquet? You have wooden balls with a mallet, and your idea is to go through 6 hoops. Have you played croquet? I have. Not much to the thing, right? But they have competition sports for croquet. Anyway, 28 on the list, fencing. Have you seen those guys like Mask of Zorro with their spears? Well, they have competitions. You have a foil, an épée, and a saber, which is a sword. And the goal is to contact the opponent as much as you can. Of course, he has protective gear on. You don't want to hit him in the face. He has a mask on. But fencing is a sport. Have I ever done fencing? No. Do I want to do it? It'd be fun to hold the sword. It'd be interesting. Would you like to do fencing? Counting down. 27 on the list. Horse racing. You've seen it on TV. You can bet on horse racing. You've seen Secretariat win the Triple Crown. #1 horse of all time, Secretariat. In its prime, no one could outrace or beat Secretariat. The track is usually 1.5 miles, and they're on their mark, set, and go, and you watch the horses and the jockeys holding on and hitting, they go around the track, and when they come down the stretch, who wins the race? And you can bet on these horse racing, but it's a sport. Have I bet on horse racing? In my career, I'm 66 years old. Have I ever bet on a horse? No, I haven't. Maybe one day I will. All right, 27 on the list. 26, sailing. You've seen it. Sailboat has no motor and no paddles. You just maneuver the sail with the wind. Well, it's a sport, and they have competition, especially yacht clubs, on lakes. They have speed records. It all depends on the weather, doesn't it? The wind. Sailing. Have I been in a sailboat? Trying to remember. I think I have. It's interesting. We went out a little bit, sailed around, and came back. How about that as a sport? 25 on the list, archery. Have you ever taken a bow and shot an arrow into a target? Have I taken a bow and went like this? You hold it up against your shoulder, and you fling it and hit it into a target. Well, they have competition on archery, and some of these people are really accurate, and they hit the bullseye and the target. And it's a competition, and you can score points. I think they have in the Olympics, right? Have I ever shot a bow and arrow? Yes. But in archery, not as a competition. 24 on the list. Shooting. Rifle range or a gun. How about that as a competition? Again, it's a matter of target. You have to hold it up against your shoulder, the rifle, and you fire and hit into a target. How about accuracy there? Test your accuracy, precision, your speed. Have I ever fired a gun? Have you gone to a shooting range and fired a gun? A rifle? I'm trying to remember. I'm 66 years old. I've held a rifle. I've held a BB gun and fired it. Does that count? But as far as a firearm or a rifle and shooting it into a target at a shooting range, I haven't done that. But I did fire a BB gun. And a handgun with a bullet in it. 23 on the list, weightlifting, counting down. This is an interesting competition sport in the Olympics. I've lifted weights. What's my record? Maybe 100 pounds. Do you know what the world record is for a man lifting a weight over his shoulder and into the air? Paul Anderson lifted 1,036 pounds. And for the women, Carrie Bordor, you heard her name? I haven't. She lifted 854 pounds over her shoulder. Ooh, weightlifting as a sport competition. 1996, I went to the Summer Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. And we went to a weightlifting competition. And a guy lifted 400 pounds. Kind of interesting. I don't think I could lift more than 100 pounds over your shoulder. Could you? 22 on the list, roller skating as a sport and a competition. When I was a teenager, I did roller skating in a ring. But they have competitions where they go around and around and around, and you want to go the fastest and the accuracy and the precision and the just test your skills. It's physical fitness. To say the greatest roller skater of all time is a guy named Ronnie Robinson. Never heard of him. But roller skating is a competition, a sport. 21 on the list, counting down. Wait do you see my top 5. 21, skiing. It could be snow or water skiing. Yeah, this is a matter of using your hands, your legs, your muscles, manipulate on the water or in the skis. Obviously, when you're on the mountain, you're going down, you have to go curves, turn, avoid trees, apply gravity. That's what they say in skiing. You equal your weight with the gravity. Who's the best skier of all time? A guy named Bode Miller. Have I ever done mountain skiing? Nope, haven't done it. Have I ever done water skiing? Nope, never done it. Do I want to? I'm getting old. Got to be young in your prime. You got to be strong. 20 on the list. Handbars or gymnastics. You've seen it. Holding on to the bar, you twist around and flip and land on your feet. You know, gymnastics. Have I done handbars? I have, but not as a competition. Again, this is a matter of balancing yourself, strength, the flexibility. They say the best gymnastics, women, the number one woman gymnastic of all time, Simone Biles. Ooh. For the women. And for the men, Kobel Yukumuroro. They say they're the best gymnastics of all time. That really takes a talent, don't you agree? To either walk on the mat and you flip and do 2 or 3 somersaults but land on your feet perfectly, or whether you run and catch a beam and twirl yourself in the air and land in your feet, or if you're on the handbars and twirling around and backward and forward, and Whew, gymnastics. That's a sport. 19 on the list. Ping pong. I played ping pong. Kind of fun, back and forth. You have a paddle and a small lightweight ball. Best, and you hit it over a net. I've done it on cruise ships, or you visit someone's home in the garage. They have a ping pong table, but they have this as a sport. Have you seen it as a sport? Those guys hit it 100 miles an hour. And you got to return it back and land it on the board. Very difficult. Jan Waldner. Best ping pong player of all time. As a sport and a competition, I don't think that'd be very fun, would you? The guy serves it at 100 miles an hour. You got to return it and land it back on the board. If you don't, you lose the points, and they have competition and contests. And 18 on the list. Hockey. Ice hockey. Have I ever been in a ice hockey ring and had on skates and had a stick and hit a puck into a net? I've never done it. Have you? But this is an interesting sport. You have 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and 1 goalkeeper. So 6 on each team playing against 6 other teams. Greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, hands down. He had 2,861 points, number 1 for his career. Beats everybody. Other great ones were Gordie Howe and Mario Lemieux. Hockey. That's a sport. I haven't done it. 17 on the list. Pool table. They call them sharks. Pool sharks. You ever played a game of pool? You have a stick and you have 6 pockets around the table. And you have different colored balls that are heavy balls, and the goal is to deposit with your stick, hit the ball and get it into the pocket and score. Pool. I played pool. Interesting, but they have competition for that. They say that Minnesota Fats is the greatest pool shark of all time. How about that? And I got another guy named Vernon Elliott. Take a cue stick and hit a ball into the pockets. That's a competition. They call it a sport. Yeah, for recreation, but it's competition, not for me. 16 on the list. Swimming as a competition sport. You have the backstroke, the breaststroke, the butterfly, the freestyle. You've seen the Olympics. Can you imagine that Michael Phelps has 28 Olympic medals? Number 1 of all time. Most Olympic medals of all time. And it's in swimming. Michael Phelps. Now, have I done swimming? Obviously, everyone swam one time or another in their life, right? As a kid or when you're an adult. I've swam in the ocean, in pools, go back and forth. I've tried the butterfly, kind of hard. Freestyle is obviously backstroke and the breaststroke. But as far as competition and as a sport, 15 on the list. Boxing. Very interesting sport. I would say that boxing would be the hardest sport of all time. You have gloves. It's a contact combat sport. You're in a ring for 12 rounds. And you're punching and jabbing, and you get hit in the side, you get in the mouth, the nose, the eyes, and you got to endure 12 rounds, and it's a competition sport. They get paid well. One boxing match, you can win millions of dollars. Who's the greatest boxers of all time? Rocky Marciano went 49-0, never got beat. How about that for a career? Jack Johnson went 77-13. He fought more. Joe Louis went 68-3. He was pretty good. Muhammad Ali went 56-5. Very good boxer. Joe Frazier He won about 50 matches, but lost about 6 or 7. You had George Foreman and on, all these boxers. How about Floyd Mayweather? I believe he's 50-0. Mayweather? Is that right? But he's in the lighter weight division. These heavyweight guys, they're the greatest boxers of all time if you're heavyweight. Who do I consider the greatest boxer of all time? You got to go with Joe Louis. 68 victories. Even though he got beat 3 times, that was probably later in his career he got beat. Rocky Marciano went 49-0, but he only 49 matches. Joe Louis went 68. Muhammad Ali went 56. Jack Johnson, way back in the early part of the century, went 77 matches, but he lost 13 of them. You got to give that Joe Louis, in his prime, would be the greatest boxer of all time. Have I done boxing in a ring? Nope. I've punched a punching bag. I've done that. Have you done that? But a boxer in the ring and you swing, that's got to be the hardest sport of all time. And some people even died in the boxing ring. Is it worth your life to have boxing as a career with a chance that you could get head injury and die? No, not for me. But you got to admit that boxing is captivating to look at. Don't you agree? Whew. 14 on the list, cycling. You know, you have a bicycle. They have competitions on roads as far as speed, mountain, the Tour de France, tracks. They say that Eddie Merckx, greatest cyclist of all time. I rode a bike. That's the fastest I've gone on a bike, maybe 50 miles an hour down a hill. Some of these guys can go like 80 or 85 or 90 miles an hour on a bicycle. How about the Tour de France? It's 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? 21 days? They go up mountains, and I think they go 2,000 miles in a race. And whoever comes out ahead in that is impressive. Cycling as a sport. 13 on the list, badminton. Remember, my order is not saying one is better than the other, but my top 5 will be the best. But badminton, not much of a sport, but they have competition. Have you seen it? You have a racket, you hit a shuttlecock, kind of a shuttlecock. It's a little ball in the end with a little net. You've seen a badminton. You hit it over the net, you got to swing it hard, and competition is very difficult. I've done badminton. Oh boy, they say that Lin Dan is the best badminton player of all time. Big deal on that one. 12 on the list, track. This one's a very hard one too. Races, right? You gotta be in your prime, and you gotta be physically fit. The marathon is 26 miles non-stop. Did you know that a guy named Eliud Kipchoge, he holds the record for the fastest marathon time of all time. 2 hours and 1 minute and 26 miles. Incredible. Because usually marathoners are around 2 hour 10 minute, 2 hour 12 minute, 2 hour 15 minute. Women, I think the fastest is around 2 hours and 15 minutes for women. But a man, 2 hours and 1 minute. How did he do it? I don't know. Must have had perfect conditions. And of course, we know that the fastest human of all time is Usain Bolt. He ran the 100 meters in the Olympics, 100-meter race, in 9.58 seconds. How about that? And on the women, Jackie Joyner Kersee, I think she holds the record. She did it in 2.5 or whatever. So she would be the fastest woman of all time. Track. How about some of those 10,000 meter races or 5,000 meters? You have the relay races in the Olympics. Have I done track? Have I ran 1 mile straight? I don't think I have. But we do know that Roger Bannister holds the record for the fastest 1 mile time. 3 minutes, 58 seconds, I believe, or is it 59 seconds? He did it in 4 minutes. 1 mile in 4 minutes. Incredible. I've walked a mile. I've walked 2 miles. But I've never ran a mile to see what my time would be. My time would be about 9 minutes, probably 10 minutes for 1 mile. Counting down, number 11 on the list, wrestling is a sport. I wrestled in junior high. I was on the wrestling team. You know, you get the guy, you get him to a headlock, or you get him into a bear hug, and you try to have your feet around his body, and if you pin him down to the mat, well, they have wrestling. You know, it's takedown, locks, and pins. They say the guy from Russia is the greatest wrestler of all time, Alexander Karelin. Never heard of him? How about wrestling as a sport? Have you done it? I did. 10 on the list, softball as a sport. Different from baseball because you have 10 players in the field. And also in softball, you underhand the pitch. You don't overhand the pitch, you underhand it. And then the ball is bigger. Not a baseball, but a bigger ball, softball. I played softball. I was in a league. I didn't like softball. Baseball I love, but not softball. For some reason, I didn't like it. You hit it. Jeannie Finch, supposed to be the greatest woman softball player of all time. And on the men's side, Mike Makidia. Something about softball. You hit the ball, you have metal bats. You don't have wooden bats, metal bats. I've hit a home run in softball. We were in softball leagues. I've hit one over the fence. I was in a league where if you hit it so far, they didn't want you to run the bases. They just said, all right, you score the run. How dumb of a league was that one, huh? You can hit the ball. In fact, I hit one over the fence, and they called it out because in the softball league that I was playing in, you're not supposed to hit it over the fence. You're supposed to keep it in the yard. How dumb. Softball, not for me. But I played it. Number 9 on the list, handball. I played handball in elementary school. Small black ball, and you hit it with your hand against the wall, and you get points. Hit into the corner and outdo the guy. The goal is to win competition. Some of these guys hit the ball so hard, you don't even see the ball. It goes so fast. How about handball as a competition sport? Number 8 on the list, volleyball. I play volleyball. It's recreational, but as far as competition, you've seen it. In the beach or in the basketball gym. You hit the ball over and the goal, let's see, how many players? You have 6 players on each side. The goal is either spike it or you have volley, you ground the ball on the other side, you win points. Say that Karsh Karelia, best volleyball player of all time. And on the women, Misty Traynor. I played volleyball, have you? 7 on the list, tennis as a sport. We've seen tennis matches, you know, the Wimbledon, French Open, US Open, and Australian Open. You've seen these guys play. Have I played tennis? Yeah. Hit it back and forth. With a racket, you have a green tennis ball, and you get it over the net. And the goal is to win 6 games or 2 or 3 sets. You have 15 love, 30 love, 40 love, and then you win the match, or you win the set. You win the game, and then the goal is to win 6 games in a set. And if you win 2 or 3 sets, you win the match. Who's the greatest tennis player of all time? Roger Federer, hands down, 20 majors and over 100 victories. And on the women, there's a debate there. Steffi Graf, Serena Williams, Martina Navratilova, or Margaret Court. That's to be decided, but right now, as of the moment, Roger Federer, greatest tennis player of all time. Creeping up, Rafael Nadal, and then another guy named Dvojevic. Can't even say his name, but he's pretty good. 6 on the list, soccer as a sport. I played soccer when I was a little kid. I've scored some goals. Of course, this was in the elementary, junior high area. You're playing on an open field. You have a soccer ball. How many players on each side? 11 players on each side. So it's 22 people. 22 people on a field, a large field, and you have one ball. And it's very hard to score a goal. But in my elementary, junior high school years, I scored some goals. Ball came to me, gave it a good kick, and it went into the net. But how about these professional players? They say that Pele, he scored 1,283 goals in his career. Now, to score a goal is very rare. If you're out of 11, maybe 1 or 2 guys get the goal. And on the women's side, 1 or 2 only do it. But for career, he had over 1,200 goals. Wow. And you've seen the matches. Many of them are 1-0, 2-1. And you play 90 minutes. Woo. That's an enduring sport. You're running up and down, back and forth. Soccer. Woo. Number 6, 5 on the list. All right, these 5 are my favorite. And I've played them. I'm better in some than the others. 5 on the list as a sport, if you want to call it a sport, is bowling. You have lanes, you have 10 pins, and you have a heavy ball that can weigh 15 to 18 pounds. And you roll that ball down the lane, and the goal is to get all 10 pins down, which is a strike. If you leave 9 up, then your second ball, you get a chance to get a spare. What's my high game? 262. I was in a bowling league in high school. And I bowled, I would say, probably over 1,000 games in my lifetime. It's fun. It's skill. That's fun. You take a ball, you line up, and you have a nice 1, 2, 3 approach, and you swing it back, and you can either have a spin on it, or you could throw it straight, and you want to hit the pocket of the pin so you get a strike. I had a 172 average for a league. I had a high game of 262. I've had a 600 series, which means you get three games in a row of over 200. I've had that. I had a 254 game. And that game I had an open. You see, you have 10 frames. If you mark on every frame, that's pretty good. But I had a 254 game and I had 1 open frame. If I had marked on that frame, I would have been higher. I had a 262 game. And you know, if you get 12 strikes in a row, that's a 300 game. I've never done that. That is hard. 12 strikes in a row. You'd have to be a professional bowler. Who's the best bowler of all time? Hands down, Walter Way Williams, 47 titles. And on the women's side, Lisa Wagner has 32 victories. Bowling. I've been in leagues. Got first place one year. I have a bowling pin in my man cave. They gave it to me because I won the average title. How about that? Bowling. I've had 200 games. I've had 220s, 230s. I've also had a game of 100. That was in my early days. That's number 5. 4 on the list, golf. Now, this is a very difficult sport, and I haven't played as much as a lot of people that play golf on the weekends. It's an expensive sport. I've played it 2 or 3 times. I've gone to the golf range and hit balls, but this is a unique sport, right? You need to be physical. You need to have the mental. You need the muscle. You have 18 holes. You can score a par, which is if you have a par 4, you're supposed to make it in 4. And if you hit the ball on the first one, you hit into the driveway, into the first shot. goes down the middle, right? Called the fairway, okay. Then your second shot, you want to get it from there onto the green. That's 2. And then the third shot, if you get it into the cup, that's a birdie. See, par 4. If you miss it and get it on the 4th shot, it's a par. If it takes you 5 shots, it's a bogey. If it takes you 6 shots, it's a double bogey. How about that? Well, golf, one of the most hardest mental games, and you gotta swing that club just right, keeping the fairway. A lot of these pro golfers, they play years and years and years, and they still hit it into the woods or into the lake. How about that? One of the hardest sports to win a tournament. And a guy named Tiger Woods has won 82 titles. Him and Sam Snead, 82 titles. Jack Nicklaus has 18 majors. You win the major tournament. He holds the record. And on the women's side, trying to look, who is the greatest woman player of all time? I have it here. Oh, yeah. Kathy Whitworth won 88 victories. How about that? Golf's been around 100 years. Interesting sport. I like to watch it. I really do, because it's skill of these players to play golf. I have a set of clubs myself. The problem is, if you want to go out to a golf course and play 18 holes, it costs you $40, $50, or $60 for the round. Come on. That's probably why I haven't done it all these years, because if I had, I probably would have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on golf. 3 on the list. Golf was 4, counting down. 3. Football. American football, not the English football. Pro football. You have 11 players on each side. Obviously, the quarterback leads the team. He has a running back. He has receivers. And the goal, take a leather pointed ball, and the quarterback throws it to the receiver, or the running back can run it. You have to go 100 yards down the field and get into the end zone for a touchdown, which is 6 points. Kick the extra point, make it 7, touchdown. If you can't get into the end zone, you kick a field goal, which is 3 points. Football. I like watching it. I played it in high school. Actually, elementary school, junior high, a little off recreational. I played flag football, not very much fun, but I did play tackle football in elementary school on the grass. One time the quarterback, I was on the line. I was an offensive player on the line. The quarterback in the huddle said, "Ken, I want you to block that guy who always comes in and tackles me." So when the ball was hiked, I blocked the guy like this, and the guy went backwards, and the quarterback was able to throw it in the air, and obviously a touchdown. That was mine. I played quarterback, but not in competition and not in a league. But in recreational league, I played it. You throw the ball maybe 30 yards down the field. I've been a receiver, catch the ball for a touchdown. I've been a running back, running the ball. Football, I've never been in the full pads with the helmet. When we played, it was just recreational football. How about that? That's number 3 on the list. I would say the top 3 are the ones that I watch the most. Top 5, bowling, golf, I watch the most. Football, I watch the most. 2 on the list, basketball. You have 5 players on each side. If you have a net, and if you score from the outside, it's 2 points. If you have a 3-point line and make the basket, it's 3 points. If you get fouled, you go to the free throw line, and if you score the basket, it's 1 point. Basketball, back and forth. I played junior high and high school. In fact, in the high school team was a B team. I think I was on the B team for a little while. Made a bank shot. But I played a lot of recreational basketball in the gym with the guys. In fact, when I was in my 20s, the guys would say, "Let's go down to the gym, play ball." And we did. We had 5-on-5. I was a point guard. remember dribbling down the court, and I would feed the center, and he would hook it in. I've shot from the outside, made it. I've had fast breaks where you make a layup. Basketball, back and forth, a lot of fun. In fact, I would say that the two sports that are most fun to play in are basketball and the number one sport, which I'll get to. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Hands down, Michael Jordan, 6 titles. Could not be stopped. And he has the most points, the most career average points in history. Over 1,000 games, and he averaged 31 points a game for his career. So every game, his average was 31 points. He scored 50, 60 points a game. Who has the most career points? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has over 38,000 points. He's not the best of all time. Who would I put in the top 5 basketball players of all time? I have a video on that. Michael Jordan. Who would you put number 2? Well, in my opinion, I think Pete Maravich was a very skilled basketball player because he can handle the ball and he could shoot from the outside. And in college, he averaged 44 points a game, not for 1 year, but not for 2 years, but for 3 straight years, every year in college, 44 points a game. No one else has done that ever. So I'd put him number 2. 3, probably Wilt Chamberlain, because he scored over 30,000 points. He had a 100-point game. He averaged 50 points a game. Of course, he was a center, so a lot of his shots were easy to make. But still, if you can average 50 points a game, you have talent. 4, probably Kobe Bryant. 5, who am I impressed with? Probably Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. You've got other players in the top 10. I can go on and on with basketball. There's a video I did on that, the top 50 basketball players of all time. You can check it out and what my arguments are. Number 1 on the list, best sport of all time, hands down, 150-year history, baseball. And this is the one that I've played the most. That's why it's my most favorite. I played in Sandlot baseball when I was a kid. Didn't play in Little League. You know why? Because the Little Leagues that I had were on the other side of town, and I didn't have anybody to drive me to Little League, so we just played the Sandlot baseball. Open lots. I hit home runs there, pitching. When I got older, I had 4 kids. I coached my 3 sons in Little League for 10 years in a row, and over 330 games, I was a coach and the manager of Little League, so a lot of action there. And then when I turned 45, I joined a kind of like a North County Baseball League, hardball, wood bats, real ball. We play 9 innings. Bases are the same as the pros, 90 feet apart. And the pitcher throws it overhand, and they can throw it hard. And I played 45 to now. It's about 21 years, and I'm still playing. My best career season, I batted over 550. I've had 20 hits in a season. We play 10 or 15 games. I've had a 10-game hitting streak. I've had doubles, triples. Haven't hit a home run yet because it's hard. The fences are far. But baseball, number 1 sport. You got to admit it, of all time. 9 players. 9 players on defense. Pitcher, catcher, first baseman, second baseman, shortstop, third baseman, left field, center field, right field. And the pitcher, he throws it hard, and the batter wants to get a hit, and you got to score runs. And what a history of baseball. Who's the greatest baseball player of all time? Babe Ruth. Best hitter of all time? Tony Gwynn. I can go on and on and on there. But for this video, I was just talking about the 50 interesting sports of all time. I would say that baseball is the best sport to play in. Anybody can play. Little League kids can play. Adults can play. Women can play. Take a bat, and ball comes in, and you see it, and you hit it square. Anyone can play. Not everybody can play football, and not everybody can play basketball. But I think everybody can play baseball as far as either on a small level, medium level, or the major league level. The major league level, not everybody plays, but I'm talking about everybody. Let's say you had a picnic, and you got out down here and get a ball. You can go out and hit it. Now, in football, you had a picnic. Can you throw the ball as a quarterback? I don't know. In basketball, You want to shoot it. Can you make it? I don't know. But in baseball, everybody can hit a ball if it's thrown soft, right? That's why it's a #1 sport of all time. What do you think of my list? What do you think of all these other sports that I listed? And I mentioned the ones that I was in and the ones that are ridiculous. How about that? 800 different types of sports in our society. I didn't mention them all. But as far as my list, all right, I'll just recap, okay? And then I'll get off. All right, 50, rock climbing. 49, pole vaulting. 48, long jump. 47, the discus. 46, cricket. 45, bull riding. 44, bobsledding. 43, water polo. 42, race car. 41, the run of the bull. 40, tetherball. 39, surfing. 38, skateboarding. 37, racquetball. 36, kickball. 35, canoeing. 33, canoeing. 35, canoeing. 34, horseshoeing. 33, fishing. 32, dodgeball. 31, darts. 30, shuffleboard. 29, croquet. 28, fencing. 27, horseback riding. 26, sailing. 25, archery. 24, shooting. 23, weightlifting. 22, roller skating. 21, water and snow skiing. 20, gymnastics on the handbars. 19, ping pong. 18, hockey. 17, pool table. 16, swimming. 15, boxing. 14, cycling. 13, badminton. 12, track. 11, wrestling. 10, softball. 9, handball. 8, volleyball. 7, tennis. 6, soccer. 5, bowling. 4, golf. 3, football. 2, basketball. And my favorite, #1, baseball. All right, that's my video. I'll add it to my YouTube channel. You can check my other videos out if you're interested in my opinions and my analysis of certain events and other things that I've done on there just for fun. Ken Artizone, thanks for watching. I'm out.